Welcome into the show, everybody. Rockets on a late Friday night. Here we are almost midnight on Friday night. Fortunately, the Rockets get a much needed win, 110 to 105 over the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'll say that. I'll start that again because I know it's still uploading. Rockets get a 110 to 105 much needed win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yes, Minnesota did not have Anthony Edwards. Rockets were without Tari Eason and Steven Adams. But the Rockets did come alive, and really, there were definitely a handful of heroes in this game, David. But I think you have to start first and foremost with Kevin Durant, who just was an absolute efficiency monster. 39 points. I believe he hit 11 of 17 shots, 6 of 8 from long range, 11 of 14 at the line. Was a plus 15 in this game, which was very tight throughout. Kevin Durant was sort of, yes, Sengun was good. Sheppard was good. We're going to talk about those guys for sure. But Kevin Durant was just something else tonight.
Yeah, offensively, he's just a superstar. It's such a luxury having a guy who can score as efficiently as he can, especially on a team that's otherwise just so inept offensively outside of him and Sengun and Sheppard. But they needed every one of his buckets. This was way tighter than it needed to be. We can get into some of the flaws in the Rockets execution tonight, but thank God for KD scoring down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny in that first half. The Rockets continue their shooting woes continued across the board as far as Jabari certainly tonight, Okogie. Guys were not hitting threes. They didn't shoot a ton of them, but two guys nailed them. And that was Sheppard, who hit 4 of 6 tonight. I believe he hit 4 of 5 in the first half. I have to go back and double check that. And KD, who hit his first 5, finished 6 of 8. That was pretty much the difference. You did not have Steven Adams in this game, so you did not enjoy a rebounding advantage. As a matter of fact, I believe they lost on the boards 56 to 63 tonight, which is kind of a shock. You did get 84 shots up to their 80. We're going to talk about the free throws for sure, but I thought KD's just efficient shooting was really the difference tonight. Sengun was, I thought, really good in the second half. Especially, he unfortunately fouled out with a minute to go. Didn't really matter. It was kind of a lame, in my opinion, a lame call where he was just falling back, had his hand up, and I believe they're calling his arm hitting Gobert's face, which was kind of, I thought it was pretty lame. But
I thought his fifth foul was lame too. I thought he was set. That was when he tried to set the screen when Randall wasn't looking and got trucked. I thought he was set and completely upright. I thought that was an offensive foul, and they called it that was his 5th. So yeah. I thought both those calls were weak.
Yeah, Sengun tonight, 25 points, 11 of 22 shooting, 14 rebounds. He had like 10 rebounds by probably like mid-second quarter. Maybe I believe it was something like that. He had it rather quick. In the first half, he really struggled. I think he was 3 for 11 or 3 for 10, something like that, then kind of took off. It's interesting. He has had a lot of success against Chet and a lot of success against Gobert. And then we didn't see it in this last game against Chet, and we didn't see it in the first half against Gobert. Gobert was actually really, really, really strong against Sengun. But in the second half, that turned around. We definitely had that one moment, or that kind of textbook Sengun thing where he brings the ball up and he just goes right at Gobert. He had that spin, went for the dunk, kind of front rimmed it, but still went in. But it was clearly a just blow Gobert out of the water type of move. So I thought Sengun had a couple of defensive moments that were good tonight as well. And but just, his scoring, I think, what didn't blow you out of the water with his efficiency or anything like that, but it just was a stable source. And I also thought tonight that we saw more than other games. We saw KD and Alp running pick and roll more often, at least in KD trying to get it to him more often. At least it seemed that way to me. I don't know if you noticed this.
Maybe a little more often. I will say when they tried to run in the first half, KD had a few sloppy passes in the game. I thought, in fact, on that big coast to coast dunk he had, that was until they almost blew it, what we thought was the capper. I totally expected someone to steal the ball from him. He had several turnovers tonight, which, he's got to clean some of those up. And yeah, Alpy is never going to be the most efficient guy, but I love when he's aggressive, and he really got aggressive in the second half.
Exactly.
And look, Gobert is a tremendous defensive player, and there's no shame in not being able to score effectively when Gobert's on you. But I love when he took it right into his chest. I mean, that's how you got to attack a shot blocker. You have to go right in his chest. You can't try to create space because a guy like Gobert's got the length to make up for it. You got to get him right in the chest and back him off of you.
And this is my first real chance to see Gobert this year. I've been reading just on social media that people are just raving about how much he's improved since last year, strength gained and all that. I definitely thought that was on display in the first half. But like I said, Sengun definitely aggressive. You use the right word. I thought he was much more aggressive in the second half and did a very good job. So Sengun deserves a lot of flowers for this game. Like I said, I don't know if we, for the fans, talked enough about KD. I thought KD was absolutely brilliant tonight. I thought he was, very clearly the best player on the floor and for both sides. Like he's the guy right now. And I think for the Rockets, it's essential that other players step up like Sengun did tonight. I like Reed, who we'll talk about Reed a little bit as well. They're not getting that offensively from other players. Tari's out. Jabari is, he had one good game recently, but of his last 6 or 7, he's not able to shoot the ball very well. Thought he was very good, Jabari, defensively tonight, but offensively continues to misfire. So when these guys start to come around, and I believe they will with the shooting, you can't completely forget that the Rockets are still a very, very good team. They've been in a deep funk. They've lost to some really bad teams, but the potential is there. I want to talk about Reed before, and feel free to dive in about KD or Sengun at any point too. But I want to talk about Reed because it's really an interesting thing. You see on the timelines on social media and all that, people saying, why is Ime not playing him enough tonight? He did play him quite a bit. Well, I guess he played him a little under 19 minutes, which isn't a ton, but JD Davison played less than 4. So, he was willing to shift that, but we're going to talk all about how Reed was really good. 4 of 6 from 3-point range, hit shots early on. He was just on fire. You can just see, and I'm not saying this is justification for not playing him. You can see why Ime does that. I think he wants to build this sort of trust with him and build I guess it's a way of saying you can't play unless you're really nailing this. And there was that one play I believe in the second quarter where they were in transition, the Timberwolves, and Reed just had a lapse and just forgot to pick up DiVincenzo, who got the pass, quickly nailed a 3, and the broadcast focused entirely on this. They highlighted it. They said Ime is chewing out Reed Sheppard. He's very upset with him. And I'm not saying that was the story tonight on Reed. Reed was offensively great. You got to play him. I get all that, but that's what he's trying to teach to him is the off-ball, the on-ball defense, and the importance of that stuff. And I think that's why he's yo-yoing those minutes. I don't know what your theory is. That's just what I'm seeing.
No, I completely agree. I think, you said like Davison, who had played a lot the last couple of games. I think if Reed had not nailed his first 3 threes, I think Davison plays a little more in place of Reed, but I think Reed earned his minutes tonight. On the defensive laps, I think there was like 2 in a row that he did, and that second one was the most notable one where DiVincenzo he like ran to double team the ball, and DiVincenzo cut out and was wide open, kind of for 3. Look, people like to complain, well, why is he picking on Reed? Why is he picking on Reed? Why isn't he picking on guys like Jabari? Well, Jabari's kind of been like the inverse of Reed lately, at least. His offense has been crap lately, but his defense has been pretty solid. Ime's a defensive-oriented coach. He is going to focus more on defensive lapses than on missed shots or even on turnovers. That's his makeup. That maybe Mike D'Antoni would be different, or another offensive-minded coach, but that's just who Ime is. But I agree, Dave. I think it's all part of the plan to make Reed Sheppard a star. Like Ime Udoka, trust me, Ime Udoka is not wishing for Reed Sheppard's downfall. He wants Reed Sheppard to be a star. And, repeatedly pushing on defensive integrity and knowing your rotations. And I know, I'm sure he encourages Reed to be aggressive with, he goes for steals a lot, and that results in him being out of place. And those things I think Ime's willing to deal with. It's the other stuff, just not rotating correctly or just getting beat one-on-one, that he really is trying to hone in on. So
yeah, that's exactly right. And I think, people, I see that as well. Like, why doesn't he bench Jabari if he's going to bench Reed? And you've nailed it exactly. It's not that, like, if DeMar DeRozan is backing in on Jabari and turns around and hits an 18-footer and Jabari's contesting it and he hits it and people are saying, well, he just got beat. That's not what Ime's looking at. He's just looking at, are you making the right rotations? Are you guarding effectively, as in getting the job done? If people are hitting shots, that's the way it goes. Jabari's not having those lapses. Tari is a more gifted defender, in my opinion, than Jabari, but Tari has some of those too, where he forgets the sort of team scheme. Jabari doesn't have those as often. I think that's why, if you just want the answer to the question, why Ime relies on Jabari even when he's, misfiring. So, and by the way, I do want to talk to you about this tonight, about some of the trade stuff. Kelly Iko had some stuff in The Athletic. I don't know if you saw it, but it is kind of interesting. We'll talk about that. But anyway, we talked about why Reed Sheppard didn't pick up as many minutes. Okogie got most of his minutes tonight, and Okogie didn't hit a single shot. 0 for 4, 0 for 3 from deep. But
his defense was really good tonight.
Yeah, he had the Tony Snell line, but he has the impact. That's exactly right. And I don't know if Okogie is making DFS expendable, and I'm not making that conclusion. I'm just saying, in light of some of that trade stuff, it does make you wonder, because DFS has a decent salary. Okogie's quite cheap. Okogie was heavily trusted tonight. DFS is still working his way back. And to me, it's very much like Steven Adams. Like, when he first got back from his injury, I think they're just slowly ramping him up until he gets all the way back. So I wouldn't, we have some moments where you look at him and you think he's washed or something like that fast break layup in that one game. But I think it's just going to take some time for him.
Yeah, you still see the positional defense with DFS. Like when he gets caught on an island with Randall, or, gets switched up against, what would normally be a mismatch. We talk about with Jabbar, the defensive integrity. Like DFS is really good with defensive integrity, with communication on defense, just a lot of the fundamentals on defense that Ime preaches. So even when he's not playing great, there's a floor there that Ime's comfortable with. And I think that floor is going to get steadily higher as he ramps back up. But even this, seemingly washed version of DFS is still a rotation player in an Ime Udoka team.
Yeah. Another thing, we talked about Reed and KD, how well they played, but I thought together they were really good too. And it's just having that shooting threat off of KD. KD's drawing a double just about every time when he has the ball and he's bringing, trying to make something happen. That's something I think they have to explore. There have been a handful of games where the KD Reed out on the perimeter combo has been extremely effective. So believe me.
One thing I noticed about that, I think they're trying to make it happen.
Yes.
One thing I really wish Reed would do, and part of it's not his fault. He's just so small, but he needs to be a better screen setter. Like what they're trying to do.
Wait, who you're talking about? Reed
Sheppard.
Okay.
He needs to work on his screen setting, because it seems like every time they're trying to do kind of, 27 feet from the basket, Reed KD kind of pick and pop type of action. But it seems like Reed can never effectively get the screen to cause the switch. It's like an attempted screen, and then nobody switches, and then KD ends up with the ball, and then hopefully sucks in Reed's defender before he kicks to him. Once Reed becomes a more effective screen setter, I think you're going to see a lot more of that action, because I think once he can force the switch, they're going to kill teams with that action.
And I know some people may not believe this, but it's honestly true. Nobody wants Reed Sheppard to succeed more than that front office and that coaching staff. They had so much faith in him at the draft. They had so much faith in him last year when it wasn't looking great. To my understanding and my knowledge, they still have a ton of faith in him. You can see how he could be really good. And I think they're going to make the right moves in playing him for him to develop. I think you just have to be patient, but just recognize that issue is there, and they're trying to coach him and teach him, some of that defensive stuff. I think Reed has potential to be great. I really do. I mean, we've seen him be great. We saw Denver, Golden State. He has the potential to be great. So I'm excited about Reed Sheppard, even if the last little bit hasn't been all that great. And a lot of it is because he wasn't hitting shots in the last, 9-10 games too. If he's shooting 32-33%, then the defensive stuff sticks out a lot more. So, I'm really happy for Reed having the game that he did tonight. As far as anything else specific, I got to talk about the free throws. I forgot about that. I could not believe the free throw. I believe there were 27 missed free throws. I think Jabari missed one at the end. There were 29 missed free throws in this game by both teams combined. Yeah. The Rockets missed. I mean, KD missed 3, which is surprising, but he shot 14. Jabari was 2 for 5. That's just nasty work. Sengun was 3 for 9. 3 for 9, Sengun. And Rudy Gobert was 2 for 10. So this game,
he had at least 2 airball free throws.
2 airballs in the same game. And there were several times, even the Rockets as well, where guys went to the line, missed both free throws. I know Sengun did it. I know Jabari did it. I know KD did it. A 5-point game. This could have, either team could have won with those free throws. But
I'm sure both coaches are telling their team that. Whoever the losing coach was definitely going to emphasize that.
Yes. But, tonight, because of, and I'm just going to single them out, KD and Reed, 12 of 28 is the team from 3-point range. Again, 10 of those 12 by Reed and KD. So almost 43% from 3-point range. If they had shot in the low 20s, mid 20s, high 20s, like they did in all the last 7-8 games, they lose tonight. I
don't know if you saw this stat, and maybe you mentioned it previously on another post game, but according to ESPN stats, the Rockets' 3-point percentage over the prior 7-game stretch was the worst 7-game stretch in NBA history.
I don't know what do you do? I mean, it's not like we're unfamiliar with this, right? It's not like we're unfamiliar with watching the Rockets go on some historic drought from 3-point range. And I don't want to pull up the 18 Western Conference Finals, even though I just did.
Too soon, Dave.
It is still too soon, but it's just so flukish. It really is. Jabari was shooting between 38 and 39% from 3-point range the first 25, 30 games, whatever, and then just goes on this unbelievable, I don't know how to shoot the ball run. And it, kind of popped up again today. He goes 1 for 4 from 3, 3 for 12 from the field. I think he missed his first 7 shots.
I think he airballed a layup in the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah. He made that move, went up and no lift on it. And it was short. And I'm just like, oh, Jabari, you're making it extremely difficult. So yeah, there's lots of things to not like, but I have to believe that this ship's going to get righted here because they were so good from 3. I just have to think this is going to
everybody, it was a regression. Well, it wasn't a regression to the mean. It was a regression past the mean to the other end of the spectrum for everybody at the same time. It's like, what are the odds of that happening?
You're the cap dude. You know the salary cap in and out, Rockets situation with the apron and everything. I want to talk to you, and I'm going to summarize this because I only read it once, and I hope I got it accurate. Kelly Eco talked about, I believe that the Rockets have talked to at least half the teams in the league. Absolutely nothing that they like or are discussing seriously or imminent. So it does kind of, it is kind of an almost nothing type of report, but he did make it sound like teams are inquiring about Tari Eason, Dorian Finney-Smith, and I believe Clint Capella. those are the ones that kind of have, some meat to the bones, I guess, on the salary. Certainly DFS, Capella does as well. Tari, I talked to Ben about this a while back, and Tari's been great this year, but he obviously is not really available. I have wondered in the back of my head, and I have no information to back this up. This is nothing source, but I've been wondering this for at least a month or so. Would they trade Tari simply because they might know stuff about what he wants out of a contract that we don't know? And that's the only thing I wonder. And not to mention he's not available. And if he's not available very often and he wants 20 to 25 million a year, you've got these others on the books. That's a tough situation to be in. What do you think the Rockets, should? Obviously, it's a bad time to be talking about trades because things are so bad right now, or were. And so I don't know if they feel like they're desperate. I don't believe they do, that they feel that way. But what do you think as far as as we get closer to this trade deadline?
I mean, if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said they probably don't do anything. But just given the consistent subpar play over an extended period of time, the odds of them making some sort of move, maybe even along the margins, seems to be creeping up there. Again, they're not going to do anything that, too drastic, I don't think. Giannis isn't getting traded this year, I don't think. And again, I kind of had to put it up there. I'm now using it as a meme, the Simpsons bus driver meme. Don't make me tap the sign of, hey, Fred VanVleet has an implicit no trade clause.
And Holiday and Tate are the same way, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Fred VanVleet, Aaron Holiday, Jayshawn Tate all have implicit no trade clauses. Jeff Green could have had one, but he waived it. There's a new wrinkle in the current CBA where these types of one-year bird players are now allowed to waive their no trade clause. And Jeff Green agreed to waive it when he signed his latest deal. The other three did not. So therefore they have to consent to be traded. They can veto any trade involving them. So for all pie in the sky deals like, throw in Fred, probably not going to happen. And then, he's not playing here. Why wouldn't he just go somewhere? He likes it here. The franchise loves him. He's got a player option. He should be able to play next season, if not in the playoffs this year, which there's a small chance of that. I would be shocked if Fred VanVleet waives his no trade for anything this year. So I am not including him in any deals. But like you said, DFS, that's 12.7. Clint Capella, 6.7. Tari is 5.7. And again, to your point, Dave, I love Tari Eason and I hope he stays. The fact that they didn't get an extension done with him, it could be one of two things. Number one, like you said, they may have an idea like he wants way more than they're willing to pay. And, there's going to be a ton of teams. Unlike last summer when it was really just Brooklyn and maybe one other team with cap room, there's going to be a bunch of teams with a lot of cap room this summer. So all it takes is one, I don't want to say dumb team, but one dumb team to grossly overpay. For the Rockets to lose Tari for nothing. So I think there is a non-zero chance, especially if they have Jabari and Dorian Finney-Smith and other guys that and Jayshawn Tate or whatever that can kind of play a man that kind of play a somewhat similar game. He's probably the best trade chip we have, that the non-draft pick trade chip that we have that I could see them dealing.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You mentioned the landscape. Peyton Watson is also going to be a free agent. He is just feasting and exploding right now as far as his growth, what he's done with Jokic out and sort of what he's shown. I don't know this for sure, but I could see him being ranked kind of a higher than Tari, maybe even get more than Tari on the open market, given Tari's injury issues. Tari's great. They love Tari. I know this team loves Tari, but he's not available. I thought he'd be back for this game. I really thought they were setting it up for him to be back. Something must have not gone right. And this has been the story with Tari Eason forever. Really. He's just, he's consistently hurt and he's so good. I mean, he really is, and for him to start out the way he did shooting threes this year shows his growth. It's just tough when you have to make a financial commitment and you're, sort of cementing in your team. I'm not saying they're going to trade him. I'm not saying that at all, but it's been in the back of my mind for a month or two, just because of the fact that they couldn't get an extension done. One other mention that they said was that they would be willing to move some of those picks that they have. The Rockets have future picks if they got an upgrade. Question is, who could that be really? Nobody jumps off the page to me right away as far as something significant enough to give up picks, unless you're talking about a Giannis or something really significant. I don't know if anybody in your mind comes to mind for you.
I mean, I'm certainly not dealing the Brooklyn pick swap. The Phoenix pick, it depends on how real you think what's going on in Phoenix is right now. I mean, they're
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with that. I mean, I think I got sold on it later, but I was not in love with that trade when they made it. It's turned out well because they used, they got the 10th pick last year, used it to get KD. And they have, more assets, but man, that's tough because you kind of had what should have been a lottery pick in hand in a much better draft. And now you've got the 27 and 29, but the 27 draft doesn't look as good. And Phoenix looks so much better. We don't know what they're going to be next year. Phoenix, right now they're kind of the surprise team, but it's just, man, I have to think the 27 Phoenix pick has lost some value. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it.
Probably some, although I'm still holding out hope that this is, fool's gold, that that Matt Ishbia will hopefully kind of puff his chest out, think that he's got everything solved here and double down on this team. And then maybe he doesn't, catch lightning in a bottle twice. I know I'm mixing my metaphors there, but and they disappoint next season. In fact, I would actually be a little surprised if they're better or this good next season, or the Suns, the Suns winning percentage that they currently have by the end of next season. But that's maybe wishful thinking on my part. It's certainly, I feel less enthusiastic about the 27 Suns pick than I did a couple months ago. I'm still pretty enthusiastic about the 29 Phoenix pick because I think that their lack of assets is, they're playing great now, but it doesn't change the fact that their coffers are empty to further improve the team. So I'm still enthusiastic about the 29 Phoenix pick. But yeah, I mean, if they're trading future picks, I'd much rather they trade a future Rockets pick.
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand exactly that thinking. The other thing was the Dallas pick, I guess, in 29. A little concerned just about Dallas as far as them tanking this year. I wanted them to push, try to make the play in, try to do something like that. I don't want them getting a Darren Peterson, AJ Devanza, or, Cam Boozer type of player, just that they can put alongside Cooper Flag and then work their way up and, and actually be decent in 28, 29. But anyway, we don't need to go necessarily.
I think the fact that another Anthony Davis injury may be saving us and the value of that pick, that it's going to make it more difficult for them to rebuild in time. To number one, get value for AD, and
that's
number
true.
two, to rebuild in time, because you're number one, you're not going to get as much back for AD. They may end up in a situation where their best option is to just keep Anthony Davis longer term. And then you have an aging Anthony Davis and aging Kyrie Irving. And maybe then, they're better the next couple of years. And then they drop off a cliff right around when our picks come in.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's the other factors, the OKC angle where, they're getting all these insanely valuable picks, but the Clippers are starting to turn this thing around. I believe they're 12-2 in their last 14.
I just saw that.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I turned to the Clippers Raptors game was really close down the stretch. And, Lil BimaThug and I were both like, we're still rooting for the Clippers, right? We're rooting for the Clippers because we don't want that OKC pick. And then I saw 12-2 in the last 14. I was like, okay, maybe I'll stop rooting for the Clippers.
Yeah, exactly. And we also need to really lift the Rockets up too, because the Rockets' little slump is going to possibly aid OKC as well.
I'm not worried if OKC can have as many
20 something picks.
Yeah, they can all have picks like 18 to 27.
Yeah,
they can have as many of those as they want. There's no place to put them.
Yeah, they're gonna those will be traded for future picks. Well, hey, Rockets get a huge win tonight. They needed this. It could have gone the other way. Give them credit for the way they played in the fourth. KD, Sengun, Reed, really great. And look, Jabari had a really bad offensive game. There's no question. And I'm not making him out to be a hero of tonight, but he did have a really good defensive play on Randall. That was very key.
Two in the fourth quarter. He was solid on Randall all night. I think Randall was. I thought Randall did pretty well against Sengun. I thought Jabari actually defended him better tonight overall, but twice he bodied up against him, didn't let Randall bully him, and ended up poking the ball loose or putting Randall in a position where he had to kind of dribble wide, and it made it very easy for a teammate to steal the ball. But yeah, I thought Jabari's defense, Amen's defense, and Kogi's defense down the stretch were both key to the overall performance in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. On deck is going to be the Pelicans. Rockets get a chance for some revenge against rookie Derek Queen. Zion Williamson, the Rockets, sadly fell in New Orleans to that team. And then after that, the big matchup, I think, or one of the big matchups is San Antonio. And we'll have Wemby here at Toyota Center. That's, I believe, on Tuesday. So that's going to be a huge game. But that's David Weiner. You can follow him on Twitter at BimaThug, also on ClutchFans, same user handle. David, appreciate you doing this, man, on a Friday night, taking up at midnight and talking with us about the big win.
That third quarter was so damn long. It was so damn long.
I didn't even realize what time it was until I looked at it. I was like, oh, man, the show was scheduled to start at 11:30, and the game had ended right then at 11:30. But that's typical for an ESPN broadcast. But appreciate you doing this, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in with us, and we will be back Sunday night. Thanks, everybody.